What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Late Night Dice. Yet again, I'm joined by Kyle and Christian.
What's
Alre-
everybody?
already with the bullshit.
Howdy, y'all.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back into the sweet Heresy leaks. We're still a little behind the ball. Forgive us. We're still new to this. So we're gonna get back into the leaks. So, as always, I'm gonna ask you guys where you want to start. So we can start with the new stat lines. We can start with the new weapon profiles. And then we can kind of go from there. There are a few other things, since the last time we recorded, they did drop the Saturnine Terminator rules, so we can actually lean a little bit more into that, and I can explain a little bit more. I don't want to touch a whole lot on it since we've already kind of talked about it on the last episode, but I do want to touch on one or two small things. So we can touch on that, or we can touch on vehicles, because we do have some vehicle goodness. So where do you guys want to start?
Let's start with the weapon profiles.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get the people what they want. They want to know about the new weapons, how they work, and I'm pretty sure everyone's all up in arms about las cannon. So,
Okay. I didn't have this on my bingo card, but it's exciting. So Games Workshop went a completely different direction on this. The more I'm looking at this, the more I don't think we have a new edition of the game as much as I think we have a new game. Right? So weapons changed drastically. So now your weapon profiles have been modified. It used to be your weapons had a range, a strength, an AP, and then a weapon characteristic type. Right now, we have a range, we have firepower, ranged strength, armor penetration, and we have a damage characteristic. Now, a lot of people are going to get caught up on the damage thing because they're going to be like, oh my God, they're 40k in my heresy. Calm down. It's going to be okay. Hold hands with your favorite heresy player, and let's just wait for some books to drop. It's going to be okay. So
it barely seems the same way, though.
It's similar, but there are some modifications that we're going to get into that are both going to excite you guys and terrify you guys. So the first thing is bolt guns now fire 2 shots by default. So the old school rapid fire where it was like 1 shot to 24 or 2 shots at half distance, that's gone. They fire 2 shots base.
What are you talking about, Gabe? I play Iron Wars. We always shoot twice.
Okay. So they specifically point out that Fury of the Legion still is a thing. So you still have that whole, Fury of the Legion, if you stand still, you fire an extra shot. What this essentially means is a 20-man squad of tactical Marines is going to put out 60 shots a turn. That should concern people who, because in Heresy 2.0 and even all the way back to 1.0, tactical squads are kind of slept on. No one really ever pays attention to them, and then a guy shows up to an event with like 50 tactical Marines with bolt guns that cause pinning, and they're like, oh my God, when did tactical squads get good? And you're like, they've always been good, you just don't use them. Right?
Yeah.
So I love the fact that bolt guns are going to be a little bit more relevant. Now, weapons do have traits. So like a bolter is range 24, firepower 2, range strength is a 4, armor penetration is a 5. It has 1 damage. It has no special rules, and it's bolt as trait. I'm sorry, trait. The trait is bolt. I don't know why I just mixed that backwards. I've been day drinking. So we're gonna see some stuff where trait bolt may replace weapon type or vice versa. I know we've also seen some stuff with like the disintegrator guns where it says, type disintegration. So that's probably going to tie into some bigger rules later down the road. Like that's going to be a thing. Here's where a colossal change has happened, right? This is a very significant change, and you guys this is going to kick in some flashbacks, possibly some war game PTSD. So buckle up, hang with me, okay? You can now move and fire heavy weapons. It doesn't put.
If I play Death Guard, we've always been able to do that.
Correction, sir. You play Thousand Suns that get headaches. So, looking at the heavy bolter, the heavy bolter is range 36, firepower 3, weapon strength 5, armor piercing 4, damage 1. Its special rule is heavy FP. Now, here's the big change with heavy weapons. In 2.0, what we saw was if you move with a heavy weapon, you fire on snapshots, unless you have a rule like relentless or implacable advance, things or like super heavy. Unless you had rules that said I ignore that, you were firing on snapshots, which means you were hitting on 6s. The new rule says with a heavy style weapon, there be like heavy FP or heavy S or heavy D. And what that's referencing to is one of the key statistics, right? Our range, our firepower, our range strength, our APR damage. It's going to be one of those. So like heavy bolters are heavy FP. So what that means is when you stand still with them, you increase that statistic by 1. So a heavy bolter that moves and shoots will fire 3 rounds. A heavy bolter that stays stationary will fire 4 rounds. So you have reasons to stand still, but you still have mobility with your heavy weapons now.
It really does seem like they're just trying to make the games faster.
Yeah, it's leaning toward that. Now, let's get into what everyone wants to talk about, which are las cannons, right? I think everyone can agree the current meta, if you want to call it that, which I know Heresy players want to hate that, but it is what it is. Be at peace with it. The current gameplay, you're always going to see a las cannon squad out there. It's a fundamental part of the game right now. Las cannons are a good answer for everything. Las cannons now are range 48, firepower 1, range strength 9, armor piercing 2, 1 damage, but their special rules are heavy D and armor bane. That means that if you stand still with a las cannon, it becomes damage 2. Now, I'm going to put a pin in the armor bane thing because we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So y'all remind me when we get to some stuff later, we need to come back to armor bane, okay? Now, there are a couple things we see in this that are concerning, right? They talk about like, hey man, a las cannon, if you stand still, it can kill those pesky terminators that are 2 wounds apiece. My personal interpretation of this is that double toughness instant death may be gone. I don't know. I don't have any way to back that up, but just reading this as a guy who reads rules a lot and like, I mean, you guys come to me with a lot of game questions. That's probably one of the things that I do the most is, you know, people reach out to me like, hey, Gabe, I have this new list. What do you think about it? So I read a lot of rules, even the ones outside of mine. And so when I look at this, I'm looking at the absence of a statement. And the absence is they specifically point out that a las cannon with 2 damage can kill a terminator. So that implies that the double toughness instant death rule is gone.
Yeah, it just seems like instead of doing that, all the guns, well, we're only looking at 1 right now, but all the guns that could potentially insta-death some shit just somehow have a way to go to damage 2.
Some
or
do.
more damage.
Um,
That's what I'm getting on the first rough look at this.
I agree. And that leads us into the next most terrifying thing, which are meltaguns. So everyone who played meltaguns in 1.0, those of you who've never played, this is going to be brand new information, and you're about to hear some crazy giddy excitement for some people. Meltaguns used to have melta, armor bane as a rule, which meant if you were in half distance of a meltagun, it got 2d6 for armor penetration. That is gone. Instead, what you have is you have melta 6. So the profile of a meltagun right now is range 12, firepower 1, range strength 8, AP 2, and 3 damage base. What's crazy?
That's pretty tasty.
Oh, dude, I'm about to make your day. Direct quote from the Games Workshop leak. Meltaguns are as devastating as ever and worse at close range. Melta 6 grants armor bane within 6 inches and doubles the damage at a mighty 6.
As it should, in all honesty. If you're going to have to get that close,
right.
as
So,
it fucking should.
If you are within 6 inches with a melt-a-gun, it becomes a damage 6 weapon. That is awesome.
Yep.
And again, that armor bane, we're going to come back to that. So the next cool thing that we saw was disintegration rifles. We have a profile for disintegration rifles. They are range 24, firepower 1, strength 4, AP 3, 2 damage apiece. But they do have overload 1. So from what this looks like from where I'm standing is, these are Marine killers. They're going to kill most Marines outright at AP 3. We've confirmed that AP still works the same way. So those of you who are new to Horus Heresy, you've never played Horus Heresy before, armor penetration against infantry, 1-to-1 infantry, if the armor penetration is equal to or lower than your armor save, you just don't get one. AP3 is pretty amazing. That's going to kill majority of your standard units. Now, you're not going to see a lot of Terminator kills with this, essentially, but it does have trait disintegrator, so I don't know if that's going to give us another kick down the road, so to say. But as it stands right now, that's a pretty good profile all around. It's not bad at all.
Still has a chance to kill Terminators outright if Terminators still have only 2.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
With it being AP3, I mean, those Terminators will still get a save, but where it's really going to come in handy is stuff like, veterans, 2 wound Space Marines. Some of them, the more exotic stuff, like, with Salamanders, you have Pyroclasts, which are, 2 up armor save, but 2 wounds apiece. I have, with Ultramarines, I have Locutarus Marines, which have 2 up armor and 2 wounds. These are things where I'll still get my 2 up armor save, but if I fail one, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So
funny
that's
that we're talking about, because most of the things that are jumping out at people probably, I know we're talking about the weapons, but when you were like, it's going to put the fear in you, you're going to think of stuff right here. I'm already thinking about Kyle's old army, my old army. Like, it makes me wonder what the traits are going to be, considering that they're just taking our rights of war and stuff and giving them to everyone.
and I'm going to touch on that a little bit later too. That's something I kind of want to get into toward the end of the episode as a wrap up. So now, that's all the information we technically have right now about generic ranged weapons. And I want to get into the close combat weapons. So as we looked at, traits for the game, they did add some new traits. Some of the new things they added is weapons now have an initiative modifier, an attack modifier, and a strength modifier, which I got to tell you, I love. It screams Rogue Trader 1st and 2nd edition rule set, where you have a Space Marine that has a base initiative of 4. Well, if you're swinging a Power Fist in current meta, that Power Fist is initiative 1, you will fight dead last. Right? With a Power Axe, you are also initiative 1, so you still fight dead last. In my mind, I've always figured an axe is maybe a little bit faster than a Power Fist. Like, you're not swinging, a Thanos hand at somebody. So it should be a little bit faster. Well, somebody at GW heard it, and so now what you have are initiative modifiers on weapons. So we're looking at a Power Sword. A Power Sword has an initiative modifier of 1. It has an attack modifier of base attack, a strength modifier of base strength. It is AP 3 and it is damage 1. It has breaching 6+, which means it will have a higher initiative than, say, the Power Axe. The Power Axe says that it is initiative modifier -1. It's a base attack, it's strength +1, AP 3, 1 damage, and it breaches on 5+. The important distinction there is if you have a Space Marine that's AP 4 that's wielding a Power Axe, it's now AP 3 because of that -1. So it'll fight slower than the Power Sword, but it'll still fight before the Power Fist, which is initiative modifier -3, attacks base, strength +4, AP 2 damage. So there's a actual hierarchy of weapon speed now, not just you're unwieldy or you're fighting at initiative, which I love.
Makes you think a little bit more.
Well, not just makes you think a little bit more. It makes it to where, right now, if I build a squad of, okay, point case. If Justin, if you're listening to this episode, you're about to hear my complaint. Our buddy Justin runs Imperial Fists, and he loves to run Warders in the current Stone Gauntlet Rite of War. Warders come stock with. Kyle's got some choice things to say about Justin's army. So, power axes are unwieldy, which in current Horus Heresy, unwieldy means you fight at initiative step 1. Initiative works the same way it does in D&D and other games. The higher the initiative, that's the person who fights first. And then it goes down the line from 10 all the way down to 1. The problem is, a power axe right now is strength +1, AP 2, 1 damage. A power fist is strength times 2, AP, I think 1 or 2, probably 2. And so that's doing instant death to Marines right now in the current rule set. With this new rule set, power axes are going to be 1 slower than a regular close combat Marine. So the power axes are going to fight before power fists and thunder hammers and really crazy close combat weapons, which they should. It's a power axe. It's not like you're strapping bricks to a pole and swinging it at somebody. Like, it's a power axe. Power fists are slower. So there's a hierarchy of weapon speed now, which I like. What's going to be complicated is people getting used to the concept of actually following the initiative order. A lot of guys jump into combat and they're like, okay, I'm initiative 5 on my Praetor. Okay, fantastic. I'm initiative 5 on my Praetor. Cool. And then you're like, all right, cool. The rest of my squad's going to swing, and then you swing the rest of your squad. It's real easy to forget where unwieldy falls and doesn't fall. With this newer system, you actually have to keep track of, okay, initiative step 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and go down the fighting sequence. So it might slow down close combat a little bit, but it's going to be one of those fast learning curves where it's only going to slow you down for the first 2 or 3 games. And then you'll catch a rhythm and it'll all be really natural. The other cool thing that I've noticed about this is they've reduced a lot of the AP and a lot of the breaching. A power axe went from being AP 2 to AP 3 with breaching 5. So power axes aren't out here just instant killing Terminators anymore, or 2-up armor guys. They're not out here just piercing through the armor. Like, you still have a fighting chance as a Terminator against power axes, which I also think is a good thing. Any more chat about this before we move on to the next big thing?
I guess I'm just gonna have to wait for the book to actually sit down and figure out what the hell is going on, because I barely grasped it in 2.0. And now they're coming back and they're like, we're adding damage and we're adding all this other stuff, and I'm like, okay, well,
I want to get into that a little bit later in the episode. I have a plan to explain my feelings on that. So, Christian, do you have anything about the weapons before we move on? Do we still have a Christian?
Oh yeah, I was talking while muted. The only thing that's gonna be really confusing, well, it's not confusing at all. I think it's fairly simple. The only thing is, you almost have to play WYSIWYG now. Because
okay. On that,
I'm okay with that.
For anybody listening,
okay with it. Yeah,
it's time for me to make some nerds mad. You should be playing WYSIWYG, right? Sure. Now, I do understand there are some guys that are not in the financial situation they can afford to go out and buy 800 variants of the same thing. I 100% appreciate that. When you go to a major event, or whether you go to a local event, you should have the mindset of being able to clearly articulate what's going on so that the game runs smoothly and that everyone can have a good time. Part of that is WYSIWYG, right? Because I have a couple of my friends from some other stuff, like a couple of my friends over from the Accountability Buddy podcast, Adepticon 2 years ago. They went to an event And they got to the table, and you always get to the table. It's always the same conversation. If you're a good player, right, it should be the same conversation in everything you do, which is, hey, my name's Gabe. This is my partner, Kyle. We'll be playing the team game with you today. What's your name? Oh, my name is so-and-so. My name is so-and-so. The next thing is going to be fantastic. Shake hands. We're good. What'd you bring for me to play against today? And you should be able to say, I'm playing Iron Warriors. I brought some Iron Havocs. I brought some Tactical Marines. I brought a Predator and a Dreadnought. And then I brought a command squad with some Siege Tyrants. Fantastic. I should not have to have the interaction they had 2 years ago, which is where a guy was like, oh yeah, I brought salamanders, but all my heavy bolters are actually multi-meltas, and all my plasma guns are actually las cannons. And that dreadnought, I know he has an autocannon, but he actually has a multi-melta. And this tank over here, I know that it has a heavy bolter here, but it's actually a las cannon. And the guys in this squad, they don't actually have these weapons. They actually have power mauls. That's too much.
Yeah, if you have one model, two models, they're the same model, but you just say they're this and that, I'm fine with that. But your whole army, that's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, like if I need fucking flashcards to keep up with what you don't have WYSIWYG, you should work on your army, right?
Bro, it's not even... Well, we could get into a whole nother tangent on this, but we should probably move on to the other one. I should sip my drink and we should just go on.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about are vehicles. I really want to get into this so we can explain the armor bane rule a little bit more. So vehicles did keep their armor facing. So you still have front, side, and rear profiles on majority of the vehicles in the game. What has changed is hull points went up for a lot of vehicles. For instance, a Predator went up to 5 hull points. Pretty tough beast, right? But what I really like the most, and this is something that a lot of guys are not going to like, be at peace with it. It is what it is. The vehicle damage table has changed drastically. So it used to be, and I'm going to explain this to be as peak confusing as the vehicle damage table is for new players, okay? So the vehicle damage table right now, you roll your strength of your weapon and you compare it against the armor profile of the vehicle. So a strength 9 las cannon against a front armor profile of a Predator, you would need a 4 to glance, a 5, or a 6 to penetrate. You would roll to hit, then you would roll for armor penetration, and then if you had penetrations, you would roll on a scale. On like a 1 or a 2, you were crew shaken. On a 3 through 4, you were crew stunned. On a 5, you'd crack a weapon. On a 6, you would immobilize it. And then on a 7, you would blow it up. And everyone ever saw that chart was, we play with fucking D6s. How is there a 7? It was always the first conversation. Do we roll these on a D10 or something? No. If your armor piercing value was a 2, you got +1. If it was a 1, you got +2. Already saying that out loud, it is complicated for anyone who's just learning the game. That meant that if you got a lucky shot through with a las cannon, you got a penetrating hit, you rolled a 6 for the penetration, the tank would detonate instantaneously. There's a problem there. And the problem is, if I brought my pretty tanks, because I like running tanks, and I'm met with essentially being punished because some guy brought 10 las cannons, tanks aren't viable. What they've done now, the new vehicle damage table says, if you roll a glancing hit is when you're rolling the armor penetration value and your roll and the strength of the weapon combined equal the vehicle's armor value. That being said, a las cannon at strength 9 versus the front armor of a Predator, if you rolled a 4, you would get a glancing hit against that Predator. Glancing hits don't cause hull point damage anymore. Instead, excuse me, you roll on the vehicle damage table. On a penetrating hit, you automatically do the damage profile of that weapon in hull points to the tank. So the idea of one gun getting lucky and popping a tank, that's gone. Instead, so now the way it works is for every penetration you get, that's going to be straight damage you do to the tank in hull points. Glances will now go on the vehicle damage table, and the vehicle damage table is pretty cool. If you roll a 1 or a 2, it's impaired sensors. The model gains the stun status. If it's a 3 or a 4, it's a broken motor, it gains the pinned status. And on a 5 or a 6, it's considered a weapon damage. The model has the suppressed status, which are the new game mechanics that they've added to the game. The important distinction, though, because a lot of people got this far on it, and they were like, oh my god, glancing hits are useless. All they're going to do is pin them. Okay, continue reading, Wargamers. It's going to be okay. The very next thing in the vehicle damage table says, if a model that has already had a specific status would have that status applied to them again by the result from the vehicle damage table, then they instead lose a single hull point with no saving throws of any kind or damage mitigation rolls taken against that. So if I glance you 4 times and you roll impaired sensors twice, it will put impaired sensors on you and then you will lose a hull point. Does that track?
Yeah, but so it's kind of weird because now I'm thinking about it. So we're saying damage on it. I get what you're saying. You roll it, old rule, roll on damage table. You have a chance to blow that fucker. One shot it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, people are going to read that you can't do that no more and say damage went down. But technically, didn't damage go up because our damage characteristics are higher?
Yes and no, right? So let's talk. So let's talk an autocannon. An autocannon right now is strength 7. Assuming they keep that, which it looks like they probably will. So a 7 to a 13. If you are rolling an autocannon against a front profile of a Predator, you can technically only glance it at base strength. 7 to 13, you'll need 6s to glance. That means if you fired 5 autocannons at 2 shots apiece, and you were able to pull off 5 glancing hits, you're not going to kill that Predator. You'll impose every condition there is, but you won't kill that Predator. In current Heresy, if I put 5 glances on that tank, I peel hull points automatically. I've killed the tank. So no, I think that it offset. Now
but the guns
one
that are supposed to kill them now
still kill them, absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
they
A
do the
melt-a-gun,
damage.
A melt-a-gun is still a melt-a-gun, right? We know that.
It's gonna do like just from what you were saying earlier and kind of like already seeing where it's going, doing the double the damage of a D3 going to 6 and plus whatever Armor Bane's gonna say.
Yeah, so on that note, Armor Bane. What Armor Bane says now is all glances automatically become penetrations.
There you go.
Right, so las cannons are still nightmare fuel for tanks. Melt-a-guns are night terrors for tanks.
So essentially, GW just made the guns that were supposed to kill tanks, and the ones that were somehow scratching them and killing them no longer do that.
Yep, forks are made for salad, spoons are made for soup.
Oh, that's a better change.
I love it. I love it. And I love the simplicity of it because the vehicle damage table is very convoluted. Because in current Horus Heresy gameplay, you roll a stunned result, right? And it's like, oh, well, my tank has the reinforced type, so I ignore stunned. All right, cool. Then why do we even go over it? You lost a whole point. You lost a whole point. You lost a whole point. You know, that's what you're looking for is how many hull points can I do? The conditions didn't matter as much because, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but how many times did you play against rhinos in this current edition? Almost none. Everybody brought a Land Raider or a Spartan or some variant, right? And all of those had the reinforced type, so they ignored crew stunned, crew shaken. So it's like, all right, cool, I'm just trying to do damage. So it really muddled up the water on the vehicle damage table. You were just looking to blow them up. With this new system, it's like, okay, cool, you can do wounds with penetrations, or you can impose conditions with glances, which is fantastic. I love it. It's a great mechanic. The other thing that changed is knights now only have a front and a rear profile. They don't have a side profile. You're either shooting them in the face or you're shooting them in the ass. There's no in between.
That's better because trying to explain what's side and what's front on a knight to somebody is
show me the front angle of a fucking football. Show me the front and side angles of a football is what you're trying to get somebody to understand, and it was near impossible, right? That being said, Titans have changed entirely. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care about Titans because they don't play with Titans often. I do, so we're talking about it, damn it.
Hey, do you think they could either make them in plastic now?
From your lips to God's ears. So, Titans now have sections. So the example we've been given is a Reaver Titan. A Reaver Titan has a head, a carapace, an arms, and legs.
Bro, that's all neck. Where's the fucking head?
Yeah, Reavers don't have a neck. Like they look like a bodybuilder that only ever worked their traps. So you now target individual areas. And so like when you kill a certain area, the Titan doesn't die, but the Titan becomes crippled to a degree. Which gives Titans a Titan feel. I love it. So I'm excited to read the complete rules about this because like I love to run my Titans. I know I don't get a chance to do it very often. I love running them, especially at Adepticon, because dude, the pure lunatics that play at the Adepticon Titan fight, I love those guys. I love them to death. That's one of the most fun games I get to play in every year is going to the Titan fight and hearing those guys just ramp up and have a great time. It's an amazing game. And I don't get to play these very often. So when I do, I'm always like, yeah, Reaver Titan gonna smack him with a hand. I love it. I will run up and punch you with a Reaver Titan. It will be a very unique experience for both of us every time. So
I would like to point out how you did not enjoy them at Lakehammer.
That's because I wasn't piloting one. I was just standing near one while it got exploded. It's one thing to pilot a Titan. It's one to stand next to one and watching it just take in L's all day long.
But we still got the dub. How do you feel, Kyle?
I'd completely blame my captain on that.
I blame bourbon power naps.
I blame my captain for activating that bourbon power nap.
You woke up the bourbon power nap.
No. My captain activated it. I woke it up, but the captain activated it with, "Gabe, you can't do nothing."
Fair enough. All right. So that's what we've got on the vehicle rules. Now, let's get into some hard stat lines because there have been some stuff that have come out since our other podcast we recorded. We touched on Saturnine Terminators on the last podcast. I want you guys to know they are so much beefier than I thought they were going to be. Alarmingly so.
Now, are these the stat lines for just the Terminators and the Praetors, or do we also have it for the big ass dread we're also going to get?
We have both, baby. Let's get into it. So, the Saturnine Terminators, I'm going to read the stat line. You guys are going to have a heart attack. They are movement 5, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4. They are strength 4. They are toughness 6. They have 3 wounds. They are initiative 3 with 2 attacks base. They have a leadership of 8. They have a cool of 8. They have a 2-up save and a 4-up invulnerable save. Oh, and they also have a... What was the name of those rules again? They have a willpower of 7. And they have an intelligence of 7. Here's the crazy part.
Now we're playing D&D with willpower and intelligence.
Yes. This is Rogue Trader first edition style stuff they've added to the game. This is some stuff that we'll get into. Different weapons are going to call for different checks now. Remember, whole new game. Do you guys remember what I thought the Terminators were going to cost?
100 a person.
I thought they were going to be 100 a Marine. A 3-man Saturnine Terminator squad is 200 points.
Disgusting.
They can take up to 3 additionals at 60 points per model. Now, I also alluded that I was like, there's going to be something in there that gives them firing protocols. They have a piece of war gear called an Oculix Targeting Auspex that says, when a model with this targeting Auspex is selected to shoot in the shooting phase, if that model's unit remains stationary, they gain firing protocols too. So if they move, they get to fire 1 weapon. If they stand still, they get to fire both. Now, for free, they have the Plasma Bombard, which is range 24, 1 shot, strength 6, AP 4, 1 damage, 3-inch, barrage, and breaching 6+, which we talked about a little bit, right?
So that sounds like it's an anti-marine weapon.
It's an anti-marine and anti-some vehicles, because you can still do a maximal fire, which is strength 7, breaching on 5s, barrage, overload, all the craziness. The takeaway from this is they can stand still and lob 2 of those plasma shots a turn, up to 24 inches in indirect fire. With their profile the way it is, they're pretty beefy. The disintegrator upgrades are only 10 points per model per gun. So they can switch from the plasmas to the twin disintegrators for 10 points a model. That means the most expensive this unit can get, right? So if we're going through all of it, they can exchange their Saturnine disruptor fists. They can upgrade them to have a particle shredder for 5 points per model. So the absolute maximum per model is 280, somewhere around there, 285. I'm not going to try and math it. I'm like 8 bourbons deep, so I'm not going to try right now. But they're not going to hit 300 points if you fully kit them to the full 9s, which is terrifying. The most important thing to know is the Saturnine Praetor stat line is insane. The Saturnine Praetor has a movement of 5, a weapon skill of 6, a ballistic skill of 5, strength 4, toughness 6, wounds 6, initiative 4, 4 attacks, leadership 10, cool 9, willpower 9, intelligence 9, 2 up save, 4 up invul. They gave that dude 6 wounds. That's beefy.
It's beefy, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions right now because we don't still know how Primarchs are coming out and some other characters,
Yep, for sure. The other cool thing is he's 200 points by himself too. So for the cost of a Saturnine unit, you can buy a Saturnine Praetor. Cool things about him. He comes stock with a Saturnine War Axe and a Saturnine Disruptor Fist, and he can exchange that axe for a Saturnine Concussion Hammer. The profile of the hammer we've already seen. It's initiative -3, base attacks, strength ×2, AP 2, 3 damage, and critical hit. Critical hit is a new mechanic in the game. When you roll to hit, if you roll a 6, that weapon automatically gets a wound, and it gets +1 to its damage profile. So the way I read this and the way I understood it is if you roll a 6 to hit with this weapon, it's automatically going to do 5 wounds. Pretty beefy. The rest we pretty much know. Some of the profiles, the Power Axe has Reaping Blow 2. It's Strength +1, AP 2 damage. Pretty dope axe. So realistically, Saturnines are as beefy as we thought they were going to be. Moving on from those, now we're going to get into what you guys really want to know about, which is the Saturnine Dreadnaught.
What I just want to say is they should be beefy, right? Lore-wise, it makes sense that they're beefy.
Oh, absolutely. They should be beefy. The dreadnoughts are beefy with a side of hash browns. So let's start with the current. They dropped the current stat line for the Leviathan dreadnought. Now, up until the newest rules drops, the Leviathan dreadnoughts were the big bully on the block. They still are a bully on the block. They have a movement of 6, a weapon skill of 4, a ballistic skill of 4. For those of you who know what we saw on Leviathans in 2.0, Leviathans and Contemptors and everyone else have always been weapon skill, ballistic skill 5. Going down to a 4 really took the lethality out. Not hitting on 2s with everything is really handy. It's still strength 8. It is still toughness 8 with 7 wounds, initiative 4, 4 attacks, leadership 12, cool 10, willpower 7, intelligence 5, save 2+, 5 up invul. Right? Love that. That's fantastic. That being said, the Saturnine dreadnought is movement 6, same speed as a Leviathan. Weapon skill and ballistic skill 4, the same as a Leviathan. But it is strength 8, it is toughness 8, and it is wounds 8. Tough. It has an initiative of 3, an attack of 2, a leadership of 12, a cool of 10, a willpower of 7, an intelligence of 5, and a 2-up base save with a 4+ invul. It comes in at a whopping 340 points. But
so how does that compare to a Leviathan?
We don't have point values for Leviathans right now.
I mean,
they gave us the stat lines, but how they compare side by side, you're comparing an orange to a watermelon, kind of. Leviathans are still close combat bullies. In close combat, a Leviathan will eat a Saturnine alive. I hear me now when I tell you, Leviathans are still the close combat kings of dreadnoughts. From how this reads, they will eat a Saturnine alive.
Basically, what I'm getting at from my conclusion is that you're going to be comparing Contemptors to Deredeos. Deredeos are the shooting ones. Contemptors are your Swiss Army knife, mostly you could do combat. You could do both, like Swiss Army knife. And then Leviathans are your melee. They could also take a little bit of firepower, but your fucking Saturnines are going to be the weapon boat that is just going to fire long. It's basically a Leviathan version of a Deredeo.
Yeah, pretty much. So Saturnines are more gunboat style, and their weapons show it. So the disintegrator cannon, range 24, 2 shots, strength 9, AP 2, 3 damage. Gross.
That's pretty gross.
It does have overload too, and I see overload on a lot of the disintegration guns. Kyle, you're not going to be alone for very often. A lot of guys are going to be killing their own Marines with overload rolls.
So it's like gets hot.
That's exactly what overload is. It is gets hot. Yeah. For those who don't know, gets hot is a current mechanic in plasma weapons where if you roll a 1 to hit, you shoot yourself with the weapon. It blows up in your hand, essentially. Disintegrator cannons have the same thing in overload. The heavy plasma bombards, they're just a souped up version of what the Saturnines carry. Range 36, 1 shot, strength 7, AP 4, 2 damage, blast 5, barrage 1, breaching 6+, and then you can do the maximum, which makes it a 5, barrage 1, breaching 5+, overload 2. So it's just a souped up plasma gun. Now, what's crazy is the current model that we're seeing in the boxes right now is the one with the disintegrator cannons and the plasma bombards. Fantastic. They've said that there is a future version that is going to come with an inversion beamer and a graviton pulverizer. Now, this inversion beamer is going to make Christian giggle. Right now, we have conversion beamers. Instead, now we have inversion beamers. The current version of this is the conversion beamer, which the further away you are, the more damage it does. This new inversion beamer, the closer you are, the more damage it does.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get in there.
So if this weapon, if you are from 15 to 30 inches, it is strength 7, AP 3, 2 damage, heavy RS, which means if you stand still, it gets +1 to its strength. and it's a 5-inch blast template. If you are inside of 15 inches, it is strength 8 AP 2-3 damage, and it still has heavy RS, which is strength, which means if you stand still, it is a strength 9 AP 2-3 damage weapon, which is nuts.
One thing I'm also picking up from these damage profiles, though, is the Leviathan and the Saturnine have no way to 2-shot each other. They could only 3-shot each other because it's sitting at 7 wounds and 8 wounds.
Mm-hmm.
But they could 2-shot other dreadnaughts. Because if the Daradeo's at 6 wounds, I'm gonna take a guess and say the Contemptor is at 6 wounds also.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things that they've added is this new weapon called a Graviton Pulverizer. This thing is range 18, 1-shot, strength 9, AP 3, damage 3. Heavy D, which means if you stand still, it gets +1 damage, going to heavy 4. It's a 3-inch blast, 6+ breaching, and it has what's called shock, pinned, and pinning 3. Which means that thing is going to be pinning people left and right.
They turned this gun thing into the freaking what do AdMech have in 2.0? What are those the Thanatars? This is like a little fucking Thanatar basically.
Kinda, yeah. It just shoots better because Marines. Now, there are some smaller weapons on the Dreadnought. One of them is called a concussive resonator. It is a template weapon like a flamethrower. It is 2 shots, strength 5, AP 5, 1 damage. It has template 1, overload, and stun 2. There's also a photonic incinerator, which is a flame template. 1 shot, strength 6, AP 4, 1 damage, and causes panic 2. We don't know 100% about how some of these rules work, but I have seen some leaks that are showing that panic on flamethrowers, it's going to be something on majority of the flame weapons, which I love, which basically means that if you take a wound from a weapon with panic, so this one has panic 2, if you take a wound, it doesn't matter if you suffered that wound and you remove a model or how many casualties you have, you automatically take a fallback test to see if you're going to rout or not with a new condition of routed. And since it's panic 2, you'll take that test at a -2. I love that. You should be afraid of flamethrowers. Being on fire sucks.
So Salamander just got a buff.
We don't know for sure, but yes. It's a safe bet to say yeah.
I would say the 2 armies that are going to love this the most are Salamanders and Night Lords. Night Lords, because anytime you're routing someone in current rules, you get some benefits against that. So most definitely, I think there's going to be some guys that really love these new buffs and these new things. But I am going to pivot into a part of this that I want to cover on the podcast. This is something I want to talk about. Those of you who are listening to this podcast and you know me, one, thank you for listening to the podcast. And for the new guys, thank you for listening as well. But those of you that know me and have seen how I play and you see how the game plays, you've been playing the game for a while. Please hear me when I say this. Stop freaking out about the rules leaks until we get a book and we can read through that book and thumb through that book and see the whole picture. Right now, we've seen around 15% of what's out there. We still don't know where our guys fall in the army composition. We still don't know what the missions are going to look like. I know that there were some mission drops that, Christian and I were talking about. Maybe you'll get into that here in a minute. We don't have a full picture of this game. So understand that without having a full picture of the game, I don't know how nasty panic is. I don't know how gross it is to be pinned. I don't know how gross it is to be routed. I don't know what our Legion benefits are. I don't know if Rights of War are still here. I don't know. And neither do you. Until we know that, keep an open mind.
For all we know, this is for Emperor's Children and not Salamanders.
Right, yeah. For all we know, we're just like, hey, Gabe talked about on this last episode how those graviton guns look like dildos. Huh, joke's on you. That's an Emperor Children's Dildator 940. And, it shoots a template weapon, which has horrible, horrible implications. I don't know what the rules are going to look like. I can only give you my current opinion of how I know about the game versus what I want to get out of it. I want you guys to look at this with rose-colored glasses, and then when we get the books, then you can go and read it and draw a fully educated opinion. The other thing I'm going to say, and this is going to piss off a lot of Horus Heresy wargamers right now, just because the game played the way you liked it now doesn't mean that you should be excluding people who want to see the game go in a new direction. This game still has a lot of similarities to the original game. It is a brand new game. There's no doubt about it. A lot of things have changed. If you're playing to have fun, a lot of this should not bother you. If it does bother you, start building lists for fun again.
I think that piece of advice is gold. If you're not having fun, start making lists for fun again.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people lose focus on the fact that this is a game, and they need to get back into that. Just because you lost doesn't mean it wasn't a fun game. And if it's not fun because you lost, rethink your priorities.
Right, and that's a big thing that I harp on a lot, and you guys have seen me talk about this in some of our games, and when we have new players hop in, I always ask you, hey, are you trying to play for fun? Or are you trying to be that guy? If you're trying to be that guy, we're going to have some problems. If you're trying to play for fun, we can play for fun and we can have a great time. It's a game. If you're the type of person who plays a game specifically only to win and be the best and the best and the best, find some guys who want to play that way. Nothing wrong with that. Play the game the way you want to play it. I have a very good friend. You guys have played with John. I love John to death. John is one of my favorite people to play in Horus Heresy. Do you know why I like playing with John so much?
Because John's a good guy. No matter what he does, he's going to play the way he wants to play, and no one could tell him different. And he's going to do that even if he loses every fucking game, because that's what he wants to do.
Fucking A right. I love the fact that every game I play against John, my good buddy John. John, if you're listening, shout out. Love you, man. I love playing John because John will look at you and say, you know what? I know there's guns in this game, but I'm bringing knives. Fuck it. I'm running at you. I love the fact that he will play the game the way he wants to play it, the way he will enjoy playing it. I've got another buddy of mine, Duncan, over with Accountabilities guys. I love playing with Duncan because Duncan's going to bring the list he's going to bring. Now, don't get me wrong, he'll talk shit the entire time, which I love as well. Like, I love the banter. I love the wit. I love just the sassiness the man brings, right? But I love the fact that he's going to play the list the way he wants to play it, the way that is fun. And all of these people, when they play the game, their intention when they made the list was not, yeah, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to play this list so good that these guys don't ever want to play against me again. No, that shouldn't be your approach. The etiquette with Horus Heresy versus Warhammer 40,000. When you're playing 40K right now, I 100% get the competitive nature if you're playing the game at some of the major circuits. That's the direction the game has gone in. I don't hold anything down for those guys at all. Like, I don't, slight them for it. They're playing the game the way they want to play it, and they're playing it the way the game is going. The same with Horus Heresy. If you're going to an event and you go to a narrative event and you brought just a straight shit kicker list, understand you're leaving with the same number of friends you showed up with. You should be in a mindset of, I'm playing the game to play it how I want to play it, how to play it fun. You should also be in the mindset of, there is etiquette that goes into this. You should not be trying to make something broken. You should be making something that is fun to play, that you and your opponent are going to laugh and have a good time and talk about and enjoy. It should not be a race to the top of Mount Asshole.
A better way to put this in simple terms so everyone understand. Just be honest with your list, man. I went to an event. They asked me out of 1 out of 10, how was your list? And I told them it's out of 9. I wanted to see what it could do. Was I an asshole for bringing it? Some might say so. But at least I was honest, and I went up to him. I said, "Hey, this is at a 9. I want to see what it does. Put me up against your worst."
Then they ask me that question. I say, technically, it's like a 9, but as it plays, it turns into a 3.
And that's something that I love with. I'm hoping with the new rules and things like that. I'm hoping that some guys will lean more into the thematics of their lists and not so much into just. You shouldn't be making a list just to win. You should be making a list to be entertaining and fun. I built that word bearers list this year, and it plays really fun, but it loses a lot. But it plays really fun. Like the idea of just running and being like, "Hey, man, I know I hadn't made it there yet, but when I do get there, you're hamburger meat."
The
1,000%.
shock value.
1,000%. People look across and they're like, "Oh, that's a lot of close combat units," and you're like, "Yeah, it sure is." And then it gets there and it touches you, and you're like, "I do not like how that touches."
Yeah, I just
love
don't
that.
want people to get into this and think we're bashing people that are trying to play at a high level, at a low level, for fun, anything. We're not saying anything bad. Just be honest with your list. When you come to an event or something like that, talk to people and just say, "Hey, yeah, this list is at a 3. This list is at a 4." Like, don't have any gotcha moments. Tell them what you do and just have a good time.
Yeah,
like,
and
that's it.
And that's where I'm also gonna say something to the veteran Horus Heresy players. Oh, I hope you guys are ready to lose some viewers over this one.
Yeah,
all 4 in one.
If you are a current Horus Heresy player, if it matters so much to you to keep the game pure that you are willing to keep people out of the hobby, sincerely from the bottom of my heart, never call me, never hit me up, never invite me to your events.
Fine.
If you he just ditched out from the chat, this asshole. So when you look at how the games are, right, there's a few different things, and we've touched on this in episode 1. Horus Heresy players are actually historical reenactivists. That's what they are. What I need you guys to understand is, if your ideology and your thought process in this game is, I play my list this way, so you need to also play your list this way, and you take it to a point where you're willing to keep people out of the hobby to convey your point, I don't like you. I don't. I don't want to play with you. I don't want to play against you. I don't want to play in the same event that you're playing in. I don't want to play in an event that you create or that you put on. And it's nothing personal. It's more of the concept of, I want the game to grow and I want the community to grow. And if that means I'm going to let somebody play with a couple of 40K models until they get their feet in and really fall in love with the game, I can let that slide. If you show up with an army and you're like, "Hey, I'm still testing this out. I'm sorry, I have an assault cannon on this dreadnaught rather than a las cannon," or, "Hey, I couldn't afford to get the new Praetor weapon, so this Praetor has this. I'm sorry, I'm not WYSIWYG." I am not so hard-nosed that I'll be like, "Man, what a piece of shit. Come back next year." If you're that guy, you're the problem. You should not be looking at something and being like, "Oh, well, sorry, the Mark 7 armor wasn't prevalent during the Horus Heresy, so I can't let your army play." If you're so hard-nosed into being that kind of a purist, that's just the type of player I don't want to be affiliated with, because I want to see the hobby grow and I want to see more people play, and I want people to have a good time when they play. And if you're open to conversions, but you're not open to someone saying, "Hey, I'm going to play a new era Predator instead of an old era Predator, a Demios pattern," if that distinction is enough that you don't want to play against that person, cool. I don't want you in my community. You need to understand that growing the game comes from certain compromises. As I said earlier, I do think you need to play WYSIWYG. I think you should invest in building a WYSIWYG army. Absolutely. But if you're in the first year of playing this game, the monetary sink that's required to play a game like this, whether it be 40K, Horus Heresy, any tabletop miniatures game, I don't care what anybody says. There's a lot of guys that come to me, they're like, "Oh yeah, I play this great game, like Marvel Crisis Protocol. It only calls for 3 models. That's all I need." No, it doesn't. It calls for you to collect 50 people and only taking 3 at a time. Be more flexible in your viewpoints. Be flexible to the idea that new players are not going to have all of the models that you've been collecting for 15, 20, 30 years while playing this game. be more inclusive, be more understanding, be more compassionate with the people that you play with, and maybe the game will grow to a level where we can all have a good time and not go to events and be like, okay, man, it's been a great turnout. We have 15. Cool. The reason why your events have a low turnout is because you're an asshole.
On that note, also change y'all's approach. Please, people. Be nice to people. If you're a veteran and new people are coming into this event, try not to just say, hey, I want you to be WYSIWYG. Be like, hey, those are nice models that he wants them to be auto cannons instead of blast cannons. Y'all been collecting shit for I don't know how many years, man. Be like, hey, I know they're not WYSIWYG. I got a couple of las cannons. You show up next time, hand them those fucking las cannons. I know we all have fucking bits to help people. Let's make this community grow. If you want it to actually be WYSIWYG, I understand that's a standard, but help the new guys out.
Well, yeah, and I agree, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. We're about to go to an event this next weekend, and we only know of 4 confirmed Heresy players signed up. Now, a lot of that had to do with it was a last minute addition to the event. It's not normally a Heresy driven event. That's fine. I'm still going to go. I'm still going to support my guys, and that's not a bad reflection of the guys putting on that event. It's more along the lines of Heresy doesn't have a big following because a lot of the people in certain communities in certain areas are very strict about the way they want their heresy, and I don't agree. I'm just going to say I don't agree with the concept of being willing to say, I have my 4 friends to play with. That's enough. Fuck new people because they don't want to make sure that they deployed the 13th great company of the Vilca Fenrico with this exact color, with this exact trim, with these exact models, with this exact character. And fuck you if you disagree. I hate that player so much. I hate it so much. And what I want to see is more along the lines of my favorite interaction I have with these events, and you guys have seen this too, where somebody will come and be like, hey man, are you guys playing Horus Heresy? And I'm like, yeah, we definitely are. Oh man, I've been wanting to get a Heresy army, but I've been playing 40K. And I'll tell them like, hey man, meet me in the free play area after this event, and I'll play a game against you with your guys. I'll walk you through it. You'll fall in love with it. I promise that guy a year from now is going to come back and be like, hey man, I hopped in a Heresy event. Fantastic.
Now,
and you're right. There are a lot of guys, okay, for instance, like Kyle. Kyle plays Horus Heresy because a couple years back I won a local event, and one of the door prizes that I got was the Age of Darkness box set. And Kyle came by to watch me play, and he's like, hey man, you won a box. And I was like, no sir, you won a box. You're playing now. That's how Kyle got into Heresy with us.
And here I am on my 2nd army.
Right. So when people talk about, like, oh, I want this game to be played this way, cool, help people get there. You're absolutely right. We all have bits, and that's one of the things I love about some of the other stuff. So I'm doing a raffle army for one of the events later in the year. And yesterday I joined one of the hobby hangouts with one of the local guys, and they were like, hey man, I heard you're doing the charity army this year. Do you need some salamander transfers? I've got some Forge World transfers. I'll send you a sheet. It's like that for everybody. The guys that we have out of Alabama, the guys that we have out of Kentucky, the guys we have out of Detroit, those guys all hang out together. And if you say, yeah, I'm looking for some las cannons, they'll be like, hey man, shoot me your address. I'll send you some extras that I have.
And I do want to go back.
Get new
I
guys.
do want to take a step back before we get too far away from it and say that I am excited for this 4-person tournament I'm going to this weekend. And I think it's going to be a blast to play with my friends. But I would really, really like to be able to say, hey, this guy's new. Let's get him to play. Like, I'm looking forward to this. I know the guy that's running the tournament is going to put a lot of effort into it and make it special, even though there wasn't a big turnout. And that makes it exciting.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things is this community should be helping each other out. And for the most part, they do. There's just a few hard-nosed guys that are like, no, it's heresy based and it has to be heresy models. And I would just rather see the hobby grow. I'd rather more people play so I can meet more cool people. And when because right now, if I go down to, Houston with the Warzone crew that's down there, right? Shout out to Seth and Jack. They put on a great time. If I go down there, I know I'm going to run into some of the guys I met last year. I met a really cool Emperor's Children player named Chris. Great guy. There's my buddy Ivan that plays Ultramarines down there. I love playing him. My buddy Ian. I know I'm going to run into him. And then I'm also going to run against my frenemies, my buddy Calvin. Love that. I want more of those people. I want it to be more like a family reunion every time I go to an event. And that's something that Heresy greatly needs because 40K has it nailed. Heresy doesn't. That being said, do we have anything else we want to talk about? Because we've been on this tangent for a second.
No, I just want to end this with saying it's going to happen a lot more. We're all starting off on a new edition. We're all starting off new. 40K players always come around asking, hey, what are y'all playing? How can I get in? Y'all have 2 years worth of rules that never changed. It's going to be hard for them to catch up. But now that we're all starting fresh, you're going to have, and that it's in plastic and you could just pick it up from a store now, you're going to have new people come up to you. Just please, 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 when they come up to you, don't give them a cold shoulder. Be accepting and just understand. They're probably coming from a place of really, really competitiveness. So we got to break it down for them and let them know that this is how we play. Just be nice. The first game, they might bring an army that's a 10 or a 9. But as they start playing, as they start integrating with people, as you start talking, being cool with each other, it sorts itself out. Everyone starts having fun. Everyone starts bringing fun lists. You don't have to be competitive all the time. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and something about that. Last thing I'm going to talk on this before we move on, because I don't know how long we've been recording now. But before we move on here, one thing I'm going to say is we have a link to our Discord in the links on this video on this recording. If you have an event that you want to prop up, you want to put out there, post it in our Discord. We have a section for it. Put your stuff out there. Meet new people. Get outside of your bubble. I can't stress this enough to you. If you play the same people all the time, you will always have the same experience. Branch out. Find that new group of people. Find that new community. Love the community you have and be willing to add to it. If you want to talk about an event, or if you just want to, pick one of our brains, by all means, hop in the Discord channel, holler at me. I'll be more than happy to answer some questions. I'm sure that Kyle and Christian would be more than happy to talk about any one of these things. Hop in the Discord, talk to us. If you want an event shouted out, I'll shout out an event. I'm not against that. Just don't make me shout out an event run. Yeah, just don't make me shout out an event that later I'm going to show up and be like, man, that guy was an asshole. Don't be the guy I talk about on the next episode, right? So I can't stress that enough, guys. Grow your community, talk to one another. I have a network of people in this game from all over the place, from Texas, Oklahoma, DC, Virginia, Detroit, Kentucky, Alabama, a couple from Florida, a few from Canada even. I want to know everybody's playing Heresy, and I want to know about all of your events, because I may get a wild hair at my ass and be like, hey, you guys want to go to Australia? Let's go for a week and catch a game of Heresy. I'm not against that. I'm crazy enough to do it.
My wallet's against it.
Right. So,
but I'm not against it.
So 100% hop in the Discord, talk about your events, promote the community, drive the community, get it to that next step. So how long have we been on right now?
I don't even know, man. We're sitting at an hour and 10 minutes.
I'm pretty sure 25, not 20 of that was probably us rambling.
I mean, it's called ramblings from the warp for a reason. Yeah. We're just living up to the name.
I know.
I'm not mad about it at all. So, I did hear, Christian, I heard you talking earlier that we have some missions out.
Oh, we're still going. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, I'm not hanging this up. I heard we have some missions out. You saw some leaks about some missions?
I don't know how... yeah, so... I don't know how accurate this is. Someone was talking about the battles in the Age of Darkness, the core mission packs that we have. Now, I think in the start of 2.0, we had 6 core missions.
That's correct.
Is that right, Gabe? Yeah. So this one's only going to have 3 core missions. It's less, but we're starting a new edition. They already said we're going to get more when more books come out, and they're going to be more lore accurate. Also, one thing that's probably going to shock people, and I don't know how true this is. I'm trying to look through it, trying to scan these leaks to find it. Supposedly, it's only going to be 4 battle rounds, so they want this game to go fast. That's probably why everything is more deadly right now. How do you feel about that, Gabe? If that's 100% accurate,
I don't mind faster. A lot of the stuff, with the exception of the new challenge rules, a lot of the stuff is made to go faster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate it. I rather like it. I think you're still going to see a lot of communities that are doing custom missions and things like that, their own thing, which I'm totally on board with. What I don't want players to get caught up on is knowing Games Workshop and the direction they've been going. It wouldn't surprise me if somewhere in those leaks they said, hey, and here's missions for competitive play.
So I believe in those missions, the core missions that they left out, I said, hey, these are not competitive missions, but these are missions you could play competitively. But in big letters, it also says tournament organizers should build on these missions and make their own custom mission. It says that specifically to make narrative based missions based on these layouts.
Okay, yeah. So that I'm totally okay with.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to need to see is that first dry run, which that's always a thing with every new edition, every new game, everything that you play.
That was going to be a question I was going to ask you. What's the over-under on the next FAQ?
So
errata,
things to know. Things to know. It's okay to let a game go naturally. I don't feel that games need to have an FAQ or an errata every month or every 2 months. I love the fact that Horus Heresy historically has not been an FAQ errata heavy game type. What I do think is that a lot of communities are going to get more into the feeling of we're going to play the game, but we're going to put our own spin on it, which I like quite a bit. You see some of the missions where they'll say, oh yeah, we're going to go for this idea or this aesthetic. And the organizer goes, hey, we really like that, but we're going to take this part out so it's less competitive and more narrative. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. You saw that in 2.0 as well. I don't think there's going to be a heavy FAQ presence. There never has been with Horus Heresy. I think in the entire time we had 2.0, there was 2 major FAQs, and that was it. Most everything was just a new book or an expansion, something of that nature. My genuine concern is that once you publish something and you say this can be run competitive, there's going to always be a small outlier of people that are immediately going to say, yeah, we're playing competitive. So I think that's something
say
that
competitive play. I think it just says match play versus lore play. That's the verbiage they actually use.
Yep, but we're talking about Warhammer players in general. Match play is competitive. That's the crossover between that language. Is if it says match play, that's interpreted as competitive play. So that I still have a little bit of a hesitance on. But beyond that, I think it's going to be fine. I'm not foreseeing a bunch of problems happening. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a great experience. And the only people that are really going to be super upset about it are the people who didn't get exactly what they wanted out of 3.0.
So the only spicy things that I see on these supposed leaks that might I want to see how you feel about it, Gabe. So in these mission plays, we only got 3 match types, or 3 as of right now. We got Search and Destroy, Hammer and Anvil, and Dawn of War. Those are the 3 that they picked. Also,
Okay.
they've also said that when scoring points, I believe you can only score points with Battle Line in 2.0. Or
Correct.
Okay.
Line, yes, line infantry units.
Line infantry. That is no longer the case. Line has a bigger benefit. I don't know how it actually works, but I know that they have a bigger benefit on being on an objective. But now you could score points with any unit, except vehicles.
I don't hate that.
That's what we're getting from the leaks. And besides that, 4 rounds and kind of what I see from all these leaks, which is a big change.
Yeah, I don't dislike that. I rather like the 4 round kind of thing versus, games that go to 7 sometimes. I don't mind that. I also don't mind that any unit can score, but line units get more scoring. It's going to go away from that compulsory unit driven list building we have right now. And we'll just have to naturally see where it goes and how it shapes.
Also, tabling your opponent now does not mean you won the game. You just get extra points for tabling them.
I think what you're looking at more now is they're bringing more of the 40k aspect into the scoring, which I don't necessarily love or hate, because in 2.0, tabling your opponent wasn't an automatic win either. You could table your opponent and still be losing at the point of the tabling, and if you didn't play out the rest of the game, you wouldn't score the rest of the points. There were places that said, once you tabled your opponent, you could score points, whatnot. The more common thing that you saw was if your opponent conceded the game. So if you and I were playing and you said, you know what, I'm getting my ass whooped, I'm going to drop out. Cool, I would get max points because you conceded. But you still didn't get max points from a tabling. You would still have, like, if I was winning mission objectives and you table me, top of 5 or whatever else, cool, I'm still going to win on points. So that's already been there. They've just actually put it in the writing now, like, hey, here's how the points work if you table your opponent.
Yeah, that's still a big change, though. I mean, you could tell that they're gonna go. That brightens up the future of these core missions that they're having in these lore missions. It's gonna be about points, which is good. Now you could have your narrative army and everything. You don't have to worry about. Well, I can't say that because we don't know everything, but it seems like you're not gonna have to worry about bringing stuff to blow up stuff. You could play towards the mission more. And
I think what I like about
that.
I think what I like about that approach is you play the mission, you have a good time, and there's less of the line up and just shoot each other. That's a big problem with the current Heresy rule packs that you see across the board. At least the core 6 missions that you saw from the rulebook right now is really only 2 of them were really based on objectives. The rest were like, did you kill him?
Did you slay the warlord? Did you table him?
Yeah, did you have more models surviving? Did they have fewer models surviving? Did you kill the warlord? There's one that literally runs off of kill points, off a death tally. So I like the fact that there's more objective-based board gaming now in Heresy with those missions. I do like the 4 round. It's going to speed some of the stuff up. And that's not to say you can't still play a game out to 5 or 6 rounds if you're really enjoying the opponent you're playing or you're doing something crazy. Nothing wrong about that. So I like it. I think it's going to be a good change.
I love it because there's a point when you're playing in 2.0 on top of turn 2 and you lose more than half your army, you're like, fuck, I got 3, maybe 4 more rounds of this. Can I last that? Probably not, and you feel down. But if you're getting your ass beat by turn 2 and you still have like half your army or something, and you're like, man, I just got to sit on these points and score. It's only 4 rounds. Like, you could plan out your first, and like you say all the time when we talk about practicing and stuff, you should be planning out your first 3 rounds before the game even begins. Like after deployment and everything, you should be planning out your first 3 rounds.
Yeah, and so one of the other things I'm really going to like about that, and this is something I'm sure you guys have had also the same experience I have, nothing's ever pissed me off more than when I'm playing a game at a major event that's going to go 4 rounds, and my opponent takes an hour to get through his first turn. So now I'm rushing the rest of the game to try and get through it so I can get to the points and get to the rounds and all that. With it only being 4 rounds and with the game being a little bit more killy now, if you are not very good at managing your army and managing your time, it won't be much of a concern because by turn 2, you'll have about half to manage.
Right.
So, like it's as fucked up as that sounds, like, oh man, I keep forgetting this rule. I tell you what, man, let me go ahead and kill that unit for you. You ain't got to worry about that complication. Right?
Not to harp back on the other conversations we have, but when we were talking about WYSIWYG, in my head, I was like, I kind of don't have that problem with WYSIWYG. I have a problem with just people just understanding their rules.
Which
Right.
is going to have to be a bitch that we have to hold off on because nobody's going to know the rules now.
Yeah,
But that's why we're here. You listen to our podcast, we'll all learn it together. We're going to go through all the rules together.
I have every intention of doing a rules breakdown for, the Legions, the rule book, the Astartes. I 100% plan to do that, and I look forward to it. I think what we're going to see now is games are going to go a little bit faster. Events are going to go a little bit faster. Right now, we're going to an event in 2 days, and that event literally says, hey, we're playing from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. the first day. Holy shit, how many games are we playing? Oh, we're only doing 3 rounds. We're doing 3 rounds in 13 hours?
And in my experience, that's being a little generous.
Yeah. So I don't mind the game being a little faster. I do like it being a little bit more streamlined. I do like it a little bit more condensed so that I'm not, going through all the craziness that is the current gameplay. There are games that, like I said, you're going to love the game and you're going to want to keep going, and that's fine. I love the fact that we're enjoying the game. But there are also some games where I'm like, man, I'm creeping up on just saying fuck this and going to get some chicken wings. We've been at this for a while and I'm starting to get a little hungry.
And
How long was y'all game? 2 hours. What round y'all get to? Bottom turn 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Like, getting kind of antsy. You still don't know how far your tactical squad moves.
Bro, like one of my biggest pet peeves of all the stuff that I've seen is, Christian was talking about, I just want people to know their rules. Bro, the movement doesn't change. 6 inches was 6 inches 2 turns ago. The fact that you've checked your rule book 4 times to know how far that squad moves, I'm on the verge of needing to be drunk to play this game. Right? with the way this is going to go now, being only 4 rounds, and the way they're doing a lot of this, one of the things I'm interested to read about are the terrain rules. I want to see how terrain changed, if it's still pretty straightforward, or if they're going more the 40k style where there's tons and tons of stuff. I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they keep the current.
I could answer that for you, actually.
Oh, okay.
In those little leaks of the mission plays, they had the terrain. And the terrain are going to be, I believe they're listing them as a type of light, medium, and large. And those are just going to have rules for that. So it is simplified.
Light, medium, and large? No, it's
something
small,
like that.
medium, and large, or light, medium, and heavy.
It's something like that. I'm looking for.
No,
Kyle.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that they probably did call it that.
No, I am wrong.
Bro,
no. I'm looking for it.
Mark my fucking words. I'm gonna go to an event and be like, yeah, that one's tall, that one's grande, and that one's Vic.
Exactly.
Hey, if fucking Starbucks could do it, we could do it too.
Congratulations, you're stupid in 3 languages.
Good job, you're stupid in 3 languages. So,
all right, the terrain is light, medium, and heavy.
Okay,
there it goes.
All right. I wasn't saying you were wrong. I'm saying I have no doubt that's what they did, and they are wrong.
GW, comma using asses. So, yeah, I like that. I'm hoping it's not going to be anything crazy. It overall feels like they're streamlining the game, which I don't mind. I did see some leaks that basically show they've gotten rid of all of the reroll mechanics. So there's no more like, with Shred, oh, you reroll. No, Shred just says if you meet the requirements of Shred now, you just get extra damage, which I like. Nothing ever pissed me off more than when I was playing against some people that didn't know their rules, but the rule they did remember is that they get to reroll all their ones, and then they get to reroll all their misses, and then they get to reroll all of their failed to wound.
Oh,
like, dude, you've rolled that dice 18 times to hit one Marine. Like, just
they don't remember it until after they've shot 3 rounds later.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So I like it. I like the streamlining. I like the direction it's going. I'm holding judgment. And like I said, we only have like 15 to 20% of the package right now of what we're actually going to see. So until I've got physical books in front of me to reference this, I'm not going to draw a full drawn conclusion. I'm working on hypothesis right now.
That's a big word. The SAT word.
Yep, shame I ain't reading them. So I don't know. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, most of these rules are on the terrain are talking about the light, medium, heavy, and how if they're not already set up, before the game begins, terrain set, it's gonna be you could place them. So I'll place one, you place one, type deal. And that's if there's not terrain already on the table that is placed by like tournament organizers.
Yeah, I can tell you that rule will never be used.
Yep.
I can tell you guys.
It can in a friendly match, but not going.
If you and I are playing one on one upstairs in like the game room or something, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But every single event, every single like group game, whatever, that terrain's going to be preset. There's not going to be those you place one and I place one, because that's going back to like 6th and 7th Ed 40K where they actually had like. Imagine how complicated it used to be where they said, yeah, you break the table up into sections, and then each section you roll a dice, and that's how many pieces of terrain went on that section. And then you rolled off to see who placed terrain first, and then you would pick terrain for that section, and then you would place it in the order of the roll off in each section. So you had to do that for each quadrant of the table. It was
and guess
horrible.
What? That's how the fucking rules read, kind of. But they give you set number amount of pieces, and you don't roll for them. You just place them. I think they're just trying to cover their bases with the new edition. They're just trying to cover. Yeah.
I can understand what they're trying to do, but like I said, that rule as a whole will probably never be used at any major event. You know, if you're planning on going to LVO, Adepticon, Nova Open, if you're going to some of the Texas stuff, you'll never encounter that rule. At least from
we're
what
doing
I've
it
seen.
at Lake Hammer. Let's do it at Lake Hammer one year.
I will fight you. We should do it this year just to give Jody an aneurysm.
Oh my god!
It already takes us 17 years to get set up with our armies.
No, dude, I can just see it now with Jody. He would just show up and be like, "Wait, y'all want to do what rules? Yeah, we want to do the terrain placing rules. We want to do it with 2 teams of 6, and we're all gonna roll off to see what we're doing, and we're each gonna set up our own section." And I can just see the frustration in his head as the aneurysm forms. I can see it now.
I could just no, fucking do it, Gabe. Yeah, fucking do it. And when all these animals come up and start asking me questions, yeah, no, they're going to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna see Jody run off to the kitchen, like, fuck it, we'll do it live. Like, yeah, I can see it now. He'll have an aneurysm. I'll love it too. But overall, I like the game changes. I like the way it's all going down. If I had to say I was hesitant or concerned about anything, a lot of the writing is going the direction of 40K, which genuinely bothers me. But I don't think it's going to go to such a degree that I end up with a 40K style game. I think they're just trying to clean it up. Is what I think
they're trying to clean it up. I don't think it's going towards 40K. It's still more complicated than 40K, and I love playing 40K. But there's still some complicated stuff in here. You could still create your own characters, still create your own models. I don't know, there's a lot in here. It's just changed.
Yeah. Same. I just think from what I've seen, they're just cleaning it up. They're taking a lot of the gray area back out of it. And I'm sure that the rules are going to create even more gray area, because if there's anything Games Workshop is bad at, it's at consistency. So, like I said, I'm just going to wait for the books drop, and we're just going to see.
People that loved 8th edition, I think, are just going to love this edition.
Honestly, looking at it, I'm feeling more like 1st, 2nd Ed vibes. There's a lot of 1st Ed in this. The cool, wisdom, leadership, intelligence, that's all 1st Ed stuff. That's Rogue Trader. And I love it. And I love the fact that they're still streamlining it while adding some new mechanics. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be great. Like the new ballistic steel chart that I saw is wild. Models are now going to have set snapfire numbers. So, one of my friends had pointed out, he's like, yeah, nothing ever made me more upset than whenever I see a Vindicare assassin. He's a master marksman that can squeeze a bullet between the ass cheeks of a rhino to hit a target 3 miles out. But oh my God, if he moves magically, he sucks at shooting anything. Well, now your snapshot is tied to your ballistic skill. So like Marines hit normally on 3s, they snapshot on 5s. And as you go down the list, it gets better. So when you get to like 5 and 6 and stuff like that, you go up the scale. You're still hitting on 2s, but now you get critical hits on 6s and then 5s and then 4s. It's a brand new ballistic skill table, which is really cool. And once the rules drop and we can get more into it, I plan on going into it in depth.
So how many boxes are we buying in total?
I'm buying 2 at least myself. I'm buying 2 of the new box at minimum. Like, no matter what, I'm buying 2 of that box because I'll never have enough Marines to make all my dreams come true.
Well, if and I win the lottery, then I'll buy 2.
I'm feeling like 1 would be enough.
No, because I need to have more Saturnines.
I don't think you're gonna run that many. That's what I'm saying. I think 1 unit with one of the I could see people running the 3-man unit with the Praetor, and that could be enough. Maybe throw in also the dreadnaught in there because the dreadnaught at max it's coming in at 360.
So important distinction that I left out earlier, and now that you're saying that out loud, I'm going to say something, and like y'all can yell at me. I forgot to note that the Saturnine Praetor can buy an upgrade that gives him and his unit deep strike.
Deep strike. No, I saw it. That's the first thing. I was holding back on it because every time we say like deep strike or coming in from reserve, everyone's all like, "Oh, people are just going to shoot it down." We don't know if that's going to happen yet. But instead of throwing that fear out there for everyone to hate on it first, I just want to see the rules first.
I'm eager to see a lot of it, and I know that the Saturnines. I don't think we're going to see like 6-man squads. I think we're going to see consistent 3-man gunboat teams. I don't see a lot of guys using them in close combat.
Really?
Now, I could be wrong. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about using a 3-man in close combat, just double fisting it up with those templates. It might be a waste, but it was looking kind of juicy to me.
The only reason that I don't think that's going to be the case, and it's more of just me thinking it out based on how I play and how it always works for me. Their disruption fists are initiative -2, and they are 3 wound models. If I go at them with certain types of weapons, they will fight so low in the initiative because they're initiative 3. That means these guys are fighting at initiative step 1, no matter what, with these power fists.
Which is the same as any Terminator running power fists.
Correct, but it's not the same as a squad running power axes.
Right. But I mean, it's just like having unwieldy.
True, but I'm also looking at the flamers that they have and what they could they're gonna do to Marines and stuff like that. I'm not saying that it's just gonna run into it. We don't know the rules. We don't know anything. It could do work. I could just drop. Maybe the deep strike rules are pretty good. I just drop them on you, hit you with what 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 flamers that they have. The template weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree. I just I'm expecting. What I'm really expecting is guys are going to run them with twin disintegrators, and you're going to see more people kill their own Terminators than anything else.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, but disintegrators kill stuff. And I'm like, they also detonate on your arm. You know?
Which also, because we're talking about points, we thought one of them was going to cost 100, 3 of them cost 200. Points look like they're getting cheaper, boys. So we might be seeing a shitload of Marines.
We're going to see bigger armies.
We're going to see a shitload of Marines.
Gabe's going to feel the 100 tactical Marines. It's coming. It's coming, bro. I'm going to deploy the full Legion. Y'all can be like, Gabe, how many models did you bring today? I brought 925 and a Centurion. I'm doing it, man.
I'll allow it if you bring the Damocles Rhino.
I will. I will rub one out with 80 grit before I play with a Damocles Rhino.
We don't know yet, Gabe. It could be cool.
You know, I've been waiting on 2 editions for it to be cool. If it were going to be cool, it's going to get there, bro. To quote, what was it, Legally Blonde or whatever show it was? It's not good. It's never going to be good.
Oh yeah, that's so Fetch.
If it is,
Fetch is never going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen.
Those
you know,
rules.
It was some drama movie. I don't remember, but I think what we're going to see, though, is you're going to see a lot of Saturnines. You're going to see a lot of Marines with disintegrator rifles. You're going to see a lot of guys bringing the stuff that kills other Marines reliably. I think Plasma's getting the nerf bat. Because if these plasma bombards are breaching 6, then my plasma rifles are probably also going to be breaching 6. So plasma isn't going to be as lethal as it was in previous editions.
Why? What is it now?
Currently, a plasma gun is strength 7, AP 4, rapid fire 1, breaching 4+.
Oh, breaching 4, so they're changing it to breaching 6.
Well,
maybe.
I don't know, but it feels like it's going to go that way because there's no way the plasma bombard that's the size of a Space Marine is breaching on 6s, and the one a Space Marine is carrying is magically going to breach on 4s. I don't see that's going to be a thing. I think they're going to change most of the plasma to 6-up.
The only explanation for that is that it's a template and not direct fire.
No, because even plasma cannons had breaching 4+ right now. And they're 3H templates. So if you're looking at a plasma cannon right now in 2.0 versus this plasma bombard, they're the same profile. The difference is the plasma cannons breach on a 4+ and have gets hot. That's the only big thing. I think what we're going to see is twin profiles on plasmas again, where you'll have a sustained fire and a maximal fire, where the maximal fire will now get the overload or the gets hot rule, and the other one will not. And you're going to swap breaching 4 gets hot to breaching 6 non-get hot, or breaching 5 get hot. I think that's what you're going to see now is multiple profiles and a lot less breaching. Because let's be honest, plasma guns would walk up to a squad, rapid fire at 12 inches, firing 20 shots. You're picking up a Terminator team. Because I'm going to need 3s to hit, which means statistically out of 20 shots, 16 of them are going to hit. And out of those 16, I'll be strength 7 to your toughness of 4. So I'll need 2s to wound. Any 4+ are going to be breaching, resolved at AP2. So that turns those 16 on a standard wound table of wounding on 2+. I'm going to get 14 wounds, and at least 7 of them will be breaching. So that's 7 guys that die outright no matter how you do it, because it's going to be AP2. If you're looking at Terminators, it's going to put them on their invul, and you're still going to kill some Terminators. So they were pretty menacing. With the new stuff, it looks like they've brought the breaching up. So instead of it being a 50-50 on the dice, it's going to be more on getting regular armor saves and then an occasional breaching rather than it being the other way around. I think the breaching isn't going to be as impactful as it is in previous editions. So plasma's still scary, but it's not as scary as it could be.
I'm ready to see these Legion rules, man.
Dude, I am so excited to see if they're going to give how Rights of War are going to work, or if it's just going to be like an FOC change, or I'm ready to see what Legion benefits are going to look like. I'm excited, man. I'm actually pretty giddy about this. I think it's going to make for a great time. I think I'm going to enjoy the hell out of the game. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready to. I already have 2 armies. I'm ready to maybe accept a third, but I need to build on these other 2 armies first. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm excited to get new people into this hobby. It's gonna be fun.
Yep, I agree. And with that, I think that's a good jump off point for us today, boys. So as always, feel free to join us in the Discord. Feel free to come by, drop a line if you have any suggestions. But feel free to come in, tell us, some ideas, some things you want us to talk about. If there's a burning question or something that you want to talk about, want us to talk about, come on in, talk to us, and let's all get to know one another, man. Let's grow this thing up. Let's take it to that next step. Thank you for being here to listen to us. Thank you for joining us here at Ramblings from the Warp. Thank you from myself, from Kyle, from Christian. Thanks for being with us. As always, happy dice, happy life. Keep rolling.
All right. Thank you, guys. And y'all have fun out there.
Kyle's sign-offs are always so like, you sound shy,
Yeah, don't
man.
worry.
Sounds like someone's gonna come out and like beat
I'm
him.
gonna edit it out anyway. Don't worry about it.
All right, guys. So that's gonna bring the end of an episode of Day. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for spending time with us. As always, for me, thank you guys for listening. Happy dice, happy life. Thanks for being with us. Kyle, Christian, do you have anything to say to the folks on the way out?
Go fucker.
That's the empty spot.
That's the fucker. I'm gonna edit out now. God damn it.
Hey, we could try it again.
Say something.
I thought he was gonna end on Happy Dice, Happy Life, but he kept on going.
Then I will
that's
end
what an
it on.
outro is. When you say the phrase, Gabe, it goes away.
Here's the problem. I was every time I've done a fucking outro on this, as soon as I finish it, you fuckers chime in. So I was waiting for you to fucking chime in, and instead I got the fucking peanut gallery of the fucking quiet as crickets of all fucking time.
It's because we never actually had something that when you say the words, it's supposed to fucking die, Gabe. It's usually you just say some random shit, and we just keep on going because we want to talk.
Kill this.
Fuck it. This is the outro. We're doing it live.
Kill this recording. Kill this one. Start it over. I'll fucking fix this. I'll fucking do it live.
I'm not gonna kill the recording. I'll just edit this first part out. I can just cut it all out.
Okay.
So starting now.
Say. That was the worst. That was the worst action I've ever heard in my life.
It's the closing of the little thingy with the checker line on it.
Yeah, but you were like, ow. Like you fucking stuttered like a car that couldn't shift.
Fucking go.
Okay. Hey guys, thanks for welcoming. Oh fuck, I lost myself. I'm too busy giggling now. God damn it. I fucking lost it. All right. Hit a bourbon. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Ramblings from the Warp. Again, from us, thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing Kyle. Thank you for hearing Christian.
Dude, all right, dude. No, I'm gonna interrupt you. You gotta stop saying thank you from listening. All right.
I'm 8 bourbons fucking listening. I'm 8 fucking bourbons deep.
You remember I said we could do this later?
I'm gonna save these as fucking blooper reels.
Fine.